Over the last 2 years, throughout my coursework, I have learned more than I ever could have imagined. Even after 15 years as a music educator, I have discovered brand new ways of teaching and new aspects of the field that warrant my attention. So of all of these things, there's a reason why I chose to pursue popular music education as my final project. I've had little affirmations, even since this course started in September, that have led me to believe that my choice was the right one for my school in particular. 3 years ago, I began a course here at Pittman High School entitled Pop Music and Culture. Now, pop music and culture was simply to replace history of rock and roll, as the guidance department had found that students were not wanting to sign up for a course with the word history in it. So I revamped, changed the title, updated the curriculum to make it more relevant and more focused on connecting music with people. And since then, the course has exploded. It has been, of course, a class where students with nothing that period are thrown into, or perhaps they need a visual and performing arts requirement for their credits in order to graduate. We've had lots of those students, and I welcome them with open arms. With that being said, even those students have grown to love the course. There has been overwhelming feedback from students that it is one of their favorite courses. I know that for a fact because we survey them every year since it's such a new class. We ask specific questions, and I still refine at the end of each year, refine the curriculum, refine the activities. Are there topics that they want to learn about that are not in the curriculum? I digress. So we have the Pop Music and Culture course, and here's an affirmation that led me to believe that pursuing popular music education for my final project was the right thing to do. On many occasions, even 3 since the beginning of this school year, students have asked, Mrs. Mickle, can I take this class again? Of course, the answer is no, unless you fail it, which one student did. But they've asked then, their follow-up question has been, well, why can't there be a pop music 2? Similarly to Art 1, Art 2, Computer Graphics 1, Computer Graphics 2, a next level. So these students are yearning to learn more about popular music. Now, this is not just rap, which I found out is, of course, the popular music at my school amongst my students. The original curriculum takes the students through blues, jazz, country, rock, and yes, hip hop and rap. These students are yearning to learn more about it. Another affirmation I just happened to stumble upon serving my ISS in school suspension duty one day. There were 2 students that I did not know. I've never had them down in my classes, but I always make sure I walk in and introduce myself and let them know that they're valued. I just met them, but they're valued. Do they need anything? Can I help them with anything? And so we started talking about my wing, way on the other side of the school, beyond the doors, as it's called. And these 2 students started inquiring. And I asked them why they had never been to that wing. One of them said something about he really likes music. And I said, well, why'd you never try out band or choir? And these are seniors. And the one student said, I just don't like that type of music. Okay, touche, absolutely. This is a theme that we found again and again and again in our readings and throughout my studies during my work here at Boston University. And so I proceeded to tell this student further about the pop music class, knowing that he's a senior and his time was just about over here at Pittman High School, but knowing that maybe he'd mention it to a friend, maybe he'd mention it to a sibling. But I let him know that, hey, we actually go into things like rock and roll, like rap, like hip hop. We make beats down here, which is something he said he does. He freestyles. I invited that student whenever he wanted to come down to my classroom and freestyle. I told him nothing would make me happier. Yet another affirmation, just that conversation affirmed that a popular pop music lab as my final project was headed in the right direction. Every year we have a Pops concert in February, and there's a different theme. This year's theme has ended up being decades. The students chose that after much deliberation. And so the students beginning in September are excited over the Pops concert. What's the theme? What are we singing? What are the t-shirts going to look like? And so it goes without saying, our Pops concert is all pop music. It is jazz, it is rap, it is rock, it is country. It is not traditional choral or from the Western canon. And so the fact that the students ask in the beginning of the school year, they're already thinking ahead to February, tells me that we need to expand our popular music offerings here at Pittman High School, thus the Pop Music Lab. Certainly, last but not least, right behind me here on the board, is an initiative I began since beginning this course here at Boston University. I made a board called What Should Mrs. Mickle Listen To? I kicked it off first marking period about halfway through when I had the idea spark from one of my readings. And the students were able to come up and just write any song they want, any song at all. My commitment was that I would listen to it. And I'd give a little feedback, personal feedback. Not critique by any means, but just my personal taste. What did I think of that song? So I did this first marking period, and there were perhaps 12 songs. And I listened to each one, made some notes of my own, and then created a little video with my feedback and posted it on the choir Instagram account. And my students went crazy. They absolutely loved it. Within just that night, the amount of likes on the post, again, just affirmed that the reason I've chosen a pop music lab is the right reason. The rationale is there and it's solid. As you can see behind me, we are only 3 weeks into the second marking period. And I already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20. I already have 21 songs to listen to, and the list keeps growing. So, meeting the students where they are and affirming their personal taste in music and affirming that their music is music. Just because it does not fit in the box that perhaps school music has been confined to does not mean it's not quality music. It's not music that's meaningful to them. And of course, I want to create meaningful experiences within the four walls of my classroom. So my hope is that the Pop Music Lab course opens up doors, literally and figuratively, for students to come on down past the doors into our wing, for them to find a safe space where they can create music that's their own. That's not scales and sight reading. Of course, that's an important part of choir, but the idea of a rock band is something that these students have never experienced within their school building. And so my hope is that the Pop Music Lab course brings in students to the world of music education who have not been there since middle school when they didn't have a choice. My hope is to give them a choice, to give them a space. I have a poster that I'm going to read from just to finish out. It says, "This is your music room. It has always been and always will be a safe place. Music doesn't care what you look like, or where you're from, or how you choose to live your life. Music isn't interested in those things because it loves you unconditionally. It is your blanket when you need comfort. It is your medicine when you need healing. It is your microphone when you need a voice. This is your music room. Come in and be at peace." My hope is that the Pop Music Lab fulfills that statement on that poster more so than any course here at Pittman High School has done so far.